Hello there, and good to have you along once again. I'm Howard Bentham, and this is OxTalks, the podcast powered by Enterprise Oxfordshire, the new name for OxLEP. This new organisation now benefits from the support of Oxfordshire County Council, enabling Enterprise Oxfordshire to continue the great work previously offered by the county's local enterprise partnership. For those of us who know the county well, Oxfordshire is blessed with some amazing innovators and leaders. OxTalks gives you the opportunity to meet these incredible people and hear their ideas on current issues in business. At Enterprise Oxfordshire, we're proud to have viewers and listeners to OxTalks from far and wide in the UK and overseas, and always welcome feedback, comments and suggestions. Please feel free to share your thoughts on the topics we discuss on our social channels. We are at Enterprise Oxon on X and Enterprise Oxfordshire on LinkedIn. This series also sees the launch of our new official OxTalks Instagram account, home to dedicated clips, news and all things OxTalks. Be sure to follow along at OxTalks_podcast. You can also email us by using the email address on the podcast description. In this edition, we will explore alternative education provision. What is it? Who's it for? As well as the clear benefits of this provision in supporting Oxfordshire's communities, and therefore in turn, the county's future workforce. Alternative provision in education refers to placements arranged for students who, for various reasons, can't attend mainstream school. These placements can include attending pupil referral units as well as off-site provision arranged by schools. It's designed to support students with very specific needs and provide suitable education for those who've been excluded, have medical needs or require specialised support for behavioural or other reasons. A glance at the UK-wide picture of alternative education provision shows that there were 638,700 children and young people with an active education and healthcare plan in January 2025. According to government figures, this is an increase of more than 10% on the previous year and is higher than the year-on-year increases seen in 3 of the preceding 4 years. This is an issue on the rise in a world of tight budgets and continuing strain on the professionals working in this area. Our OxTalks guest, to put it simply, is offering an imaginative alternative to the alternative education provision that's available. It's a story inspired by the way school affected her son, enduring years, and I quote, fighting the education system. I'm delighted to welcome to OxTalks the founder of Oxford Creators, Veena Virahsammy. Veena, it's great to speak to you. Thanks for coming in to talk to us on OxTalks. I want to start with the story of your son, if I may. You reference years of fighting the education system and the sheer frustration at the lack of options for children under the age of 14 who don't attend school or at risk of exclusion. Tell us about what you and your son were going through at the time.
A lot. And when I talk about my son or the students of the alternative provision, I always get quite emotional. So I'm going to try not to do that today. It's really hard trying to fight a system. And when you want the right support for your child especially, it's really difficult as a parent to be coherent because I'm a very emotional person. So a lot of the time I wanted to work with his school to see what support can we put in place for him so we could reduce the amount of suspensions that he was getting. As you know, every child in the UK deserves the right to have that full-time education. And I just got so frustrated, emotionally drained. You can't, as a parent, keep fighting. You've got to keep working. We've got bills to pay. And I just saw my son completely deteriorate. He wanted to be with peers. He got on really well with teachers at his school. He wanted to be part of a community. And for me, I couldn't just watch my son, his mental health just keep declining and decreasing.
How old was he when this kicked off?
He would have been about 11. So I think it was towards the end of year 7 this happened to him. But yeah, 1 year of fighting, I was like, I can't fight anymore. So I took all of my anger and created basically a small school for him.
A lot of people would fight the system. Not many others would try and set up something to try and solve the problem. So I'm intrigued.
I was just naive.
I'm
Very
intrigued to
naive.
explore that with you.
Yeah, I'm one of these people that I just can't sit back and do nothing. I've always been very ambitious, I think, as a kid. My parents came from Mauritius to the UK when they were 19. So I've always been brought up with this very hard work ethic. But I also feel I'm in a privileged position because my parents didn't get to follow their dreams. So for me, I feel that I'm in a position where I can actually do something. I don't have to do your normal 9-to-5 job. I can think of something in my mind and turn it into reality. So that was a lot of the driving force behind that, really, kind of my parent journey. But again, just my son, seeing him in pain, and other children as well, and their parents not knowing what to do. Again, you just can't sit back, can you, and do nothing.
Tell us what you set up and how it helped.
So I set up a not-for-profit alternative education provision, which is an alternative to school. So it caters for the needs of autistic children, those with ADHD, dyslexia, misunderstood children, I call them, those with challenging behaviour. And I think there's an increasing amount of children now that don't fit into your standard mainstream school system. They need an alternative. And more children now, they just don't fit into that system. We've got to be creating different hubs within the UK where these children can go and thrive. When you give these children the right support, empathy and understanding, they're different children, completely different children.
It's the square peg round hole
exactly
thing, isn't it? So in practical terms, what particular skills, opportunities and areas of support do you offer then? So
when I started Oxford Creators, for me, it was all about finding the gaps within the school system, but also other alternative provision. So we're actually really privileged in Oxfordshire that we've got lots of alternative provisions, which isn't really common in other areas and other councils as well. So because my son, I managed to get him into different alternative provisions before I started Oxford Creators. As a parent, I was also seeing the gaps.
Describe a gap. So we've got a practical
so for
idea
me,
in our
a
heads.
lot of these children have been through trauma. So they're traumatised by their mainstream school. They might have even gone to a special school and they need to go back into alternative provision. So all of our students deserve and need therapy. So a lot of what we offer is emotional regulation. But we do therapy not like this, you're kind of normal, looking in your eyes, kind of tell me about what you've been through. It's therapy through boxing, through fitness, through art, through music, through podcasting. There's so many ways that we can get children to talk about their emotions and what they've been through. That is different. It's the alternative to your traditional counselling. So that's a massive gap that I think we fill.
I'd like to explore that gap idea a little more, actually. I mean, just share some standout moments, success stories, statistics that highlight what you've been doing, if you like.
Oh, there's so many. And I've got the most amazing team. So we're a team of 11 at Oxford Creators at the moment, and we're growing as well. We've got former teachers there, boxing coaches, music producers. So we're a really diverse team there as well. And there's so many standouts. I mean, we've had children that have come in selectively mute. They won't talk to some of us, but within a few months, we've broken down those barriers. They feel safe within our setting and they start talking and they start going to the gym. They start talking about their emotions. We start building up their relationships back with the school. We had one boy who I don't think he spoke to me for maybe about 2 or 3 months. And then finally he started talking to me, but then it was the more challenging behaviour. So he would swear at me a lot, and I won't repeat all the horrible words. But for me as well, and for my whole team, we understand they're trying to test us. They display this challenging behaviour, but there's actually a root cause of why they're saying certain things. And a lot of it is anxiety. It's low self-esteem. And I think when you understand that, I'm not saying we ignore that behaviour because they can't, swear at a boss later in life or, be swearing at their parents or other professionals. But it's understanding they're used to rejection. They're used to being isolated at school or being suspended or permanently excluded. And they feel we're going to do the same to them. But I think a lot of them now, when they swear and we don't react, they're like, oh, hold on, this is a different kind of response here. It's all about building relationships, and how can you build a deep connection and relationship with 30 students in a class?
How many would be in a class, if you want to call it that?
So I always take a maximum of 30 kids at a time, but that's throughout our Monday to Thursday provision. So we would only have 8 kids in at a time. I invite you to come in to Oxford Creators. If you come in and we've got 8 kids there, it does feel like we've got 30. There are big personalities there, but they're the most brilliant and creative children as well. And it's just seeing beyond behaviour.
When you've seen the kids, if you like, go through your system, because it's the right shape peg for the right shape hole, what does the young adult look like out the other side?
So I think this year at Oxford Creators was a breakthrough year. We hired 2 former teachers, which, they worked within mainstream schools in Oxfordshire. They're now with us at Oxford Creators. And this is the first year we've offered GCSE, English, science and maths. So we've had about, I think it was 8 year 11s this year. And in September, none of them were going to do their GCSEs or functional skills. And all of them have now done them, which is a massive, massive achievement for them, for their parents, their schools as well. Yeah, I think that's probably one of our highlights, I think. Just getting them to sit those exams have been amazing.
Contexting this, what does the wider alternative education provision landscape look like? Is enough being done to support young people who struggle in mainstream school?
No, is the simple answer. It's not. The range of needs now for a lot of young people are increasing. I think we're getting better at recognising children who are autistic, who have ADHD, and it's all about tailoring support for these children. I hear a common discussion. They're like, oh, this didn't happen back in the day, even for us. We didn't know about ADHD and autism. But what I feel is happening now is people are becoming more brave to speak about what they've been through as a child, and it's getting that balance right, because as adults, we all have different needs. I stack things at home in piles and paper. That's a trait potentially of ADHD, but it's not looking at that and saying, oh, why are you doing that for? It's like, how can I help you be better organised? And this is what we need to do for my team as well. I believe most of my team are undiagnosed autistic or ADHD. So I don't say to them, sorry, you can't work here because we're only going to work in one way. The beauty of our team is that everyone is different. They all work in different ways. They've all got different minds. They're all creative in different ways. And this is the workforce that we need in Oxfordshire. All of us here, even in this studio, all our minds are wired completely differently. And that's a positive thing.
It's fascinating. It's a fascinating view. There's always been, whatever generation you come from, stigma around alternative education provision. I think back to my day, kids in the remedial class, as it were, you're taken off to the remedial class. How can we change that perception?
I haven't come, and maybe I'm in a little bubble here, I haven't come across much stigma or resistance when it comes to alternative provision, but the stigma is more around children with challenging behaviour.
Okay.
So my mission in this, even through setting up Oxford Creators, and we'll talk about kind of what I'm going on to nationally soon as well, it's understanding the root cause of behaviour. These children aren't naughty, they're misunderstood. A lot of their behaviour is driven by anxiety. It's driven by low confidence, low self-esteem. Again, I'm not condoning any child to assault teachers or other students or swear, but it's really getting to that root cause of what they've been through. An example I sometimes give my team and other people I talk to as well is, you don't even know what's happened in the morning for that child. They might have not had breakfast. They might have had a massive argument with their parents. They might have had some kind of undiagnosed need from the day before. They might have been triggered. They might have been heightened by a smell, a sound. There could have been arguments at home. There's so many factors to why a child might have turned up to school or returned to provision and they're behaving in a certain kind of way. So it's really us as adults to take a step back. And I know it can be frustrating. I still get frustrated with my own son sometimes, but it's understanding, why are they behaving like that? And there is always a reason and a root cause.
I'd be interested to hear if there are any trends that you're aware of around alternative skills education. I mean, what sort of things do you see young people that leave the provision go on to do? You've talked about the qualifications. What about the next steps?
All of these students are practical. They don't learn in your traditional sense of sitting behind the desk with a teacher in front of you. They need practical learning, practical activities. They need fitness. They need physical education. It's, a big thing is get the kids moving, having movement breaks. In a mainstream school, a lot of these children will have a movement card, whereas in alternative provision, if we notice a child within 10 minutes is like, they're losing that focus. Oh, let's go to the gym. Let's go for a walk. And I know this is really difficult in the education system as a whole, but it's something we can do in alternative provision. And again, it's all about catering for these different needs. Again, as adults, if you're working from home, you're not going to be sat at your desk 9 to 5. So why are we expecting our children and young people to do that as well?
At Oxford Creators, Vina, you also recently set up an apprenticeship opportunity for a member of your team, as I understand it. So I'll get you to talk more about that. And this is using apprenticeship levy funds pledged by the University of Oxford through Enterprise Oxfordshire's Apprenticeship Levy Pledge Initiative. All sounds very grand. Tell us a bit about that and how that worked.
This has been one of the best things we've done for Oxford Creators, is get an apprentice on board. And I'm so overly privileged and grateful because our apprentice was already working for us part-time. So she was a part-time teacher at a mainstream secondary school in Oxfordshire, and she was already working part-time for us as well. And again, she wanted to make that switch from the schooling system to alternative provision. Again, she saw that she wanted to help all these children and she couldn't. But within the alternative provision model, we've got more time, we've got more resources, and we can help these children. So I've been I get even emotional talking about it because it's just been a brilliant thing for us at Oxford Creators, and I want to have more apprentices on board as we move throughout our business career as well, because a lot of my team are self-employed part-time, and having our apprentice, she's with us full-time, she's so dedicated to the children, and I've just recognised the value of having full-time employees. It makes a huge difference to us operationally as well, and having someone there that is always on site and understanding all the children's needs as well. So it's been one of the best things we've done, and she's amazing.
That sounds fantastic. And what about with the children that are going through your system? Apprenticeships, it is especially when you talk about the practical skills of life, that's again a really good avenue to follow, I would have thought.
I feel most of our students will thrive post-16 having an apprenticeship. Again, another gap. My son is kind of the guinea pig in everything we do at Oxford Creators, but it's also me as a parent growing up with him going through the different cycles of that education system. And a lot of our students actually didn't get into a lot of their colleges. A lot of the colleges said no to them. They can't meet their needs. So again, for me, I'm like, where are these children gonna go? So I really feel, again, in Oxfordshire, we should be the leaders in what are the other post-16 options for children because of what is now happening to a lot of them at the age of 16.
Is that another potential gap in the market?
100%.
That you, as at Oxford Creators or somebody else, could exploit and develop?
I would love to. If my team listened to this, they'd be like, oh, no, not again, not another idea. But I really feel this is something I do want to do, and maybe open up, Creators College, something like that, where some of our students at year 11 who are not getting into other colleges in Oxfordshire, we can create an option for them as well.
Are there other local organisations or programmes that you've got involved with or benefited from that would recommend other small businesses or charities to become aware of? Because there is a network of help here, but it's not always that well known.
No, and Oxfordshire is a great place. So I moved to Oxfordshire in 2020, had no contacts. So for me, even to open up Oxford Creators, I did it with no network. So what I started to do is really infiltrate myself within the kind of that business landscape in Oxfordshire. And I had a lot of help and support from OxLEP and OxLEP. And I went to their pitching events and they're networking, and there's a lot of women in business events as well. I think I spoke at one of these events as well, and it's just connecting with local people. And some people who I met 4 or 5 years ago, I'm still in contact with today, and they've gone on to create other businesses in Oxfordshire. It's just so important to have a network of people around you that understand what you're trying to do.
Veena, thank you for the moment. We'll chat again shortly. You're listening to OxTalks, the podcast powered by Enterprise Oxfordshire. Please feel free to get in touch with the Enterprise Oxfordshire team to comment on what you've been hearing. You can find us on social media. We're on X at Enterprise Oxon, or via LinkedIn, search for Enterprise Oxfordshire. And now via our new official OxTalks Instagram account, home to dedicated clips, news, and all things OxTalks. Be sure to follow along at OxTalks_podcast. Perhaps you run a company or organisation that's looking for some specific help, or simply need a pointer towards the most appropriate business advice available. Why not try the Enterprise Oxfordshire Business Support Tool?
Enterprise Oxfordshire's Business Support Tool is here to help your company, whether you are just starting out, growing, or ready to take on a new business challenge. If you are looking for the latest advice and support, complete our Business Support Tool today and get set to receive a bespoke action plan for your organisation. Head to enterpriseoxfordshire.com to find out more.
Let's speak more with Veena Virahsammy from Oxford Creators, based in Oxfordshire. Veena, you're enjoying, should we call it a fascinating and varied career, because your CV is very interesting. Radio presenting, hosting your own podcast, clinical hypnotherapy.
Yeah, I love my hypnotherapy, all about the subconscious mind.
Wow.
Do you need help with anything? Need to me to hypnotise you?
I'm all right. I'm all right, thanks. I hope I'm all right. How do you think these varied roles, though, all sort of come together for Oxford Creators and what you're doing there?
Looking back, I'm so grateful all the different jobs I've had. And I actually started as a cleaner in Abingdon in Oxfordshire at the age of 14. Sure, that was illegal because I was getting paid like £2 an hour. But that taught me hard work ethic, you know. So even from that job being a cleaner through to radio presenting and hypnotherapy, everything in life is all about communication. It's all about connecting with people and understanding yourself as a person. It doesn't matter what job you've got. It's all about, you know, what is your purpose in life? What is your balance in life? And I think that's really important. My balance in my work and personal is completely different to yours. So it's always understanding with each job you have, what do you feel happy doing and what is your purpose? And throughout all of my kind of radio presenting, and I used to be a marketing consultant as well, I always felt something was missing. I could never put my finger on it. I would always talk to people like, oh, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, but I feel there's a little black hole there and I don't know what it is. But since I started Oxford Creators and I work there and I'm working with the children, it sounds so cheesy, doesn't it, this? But I just feel so fulfilled and my heart is full, and seeing that transformation in the kids is just like nothing I've ever experienced before.
One of Enterprise Oxfordshire's real strengths, and we've touched on networking, is that incredible network of business experts. Have you benefited from any particular networks or groups? You touched on women in business previously, perhaps for those in leadership or not-for-profit organisations.
I think the main ones are OxLEP and OxLEP, who I've really, and they do so many different events within lots of different areas in Oxfordshire. They also do online trainings and webinars. And I think, again, it's really making the time to do it. I'm saying this, I did a lot of the networking when I first started Oxford Creators. And now, because I'm so busy with it, I haven't done as much. But I will still try and go to business events or women in business events and just keep networking with people, because that's one of the best things you can do as a business owner, and even running a not-for-profit, even though all our profit is reinvested back into our alternative provision, I still have to run it like a business. If I don't run it like a business, I'm not going to be able to fully support our children. I can't impact more kids. And I think that's been the biggest wake-up call for me. I thought, someone will help us as a not-for-profit. Maybe we'll get stuff for free, maybe. But that's not the case. You've got to run it like a business. And I think this is why some charities and not-for-profits do fail, because we start these companies with the best intentions. We do it for a purpose from our heart. But if you haven't got those business attributes and personality, you will very quickly fail.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about business engagement. Do you see any practical or financial support from local businesses? But I guess that answer is no then.
Oh, well, from Oxfordshire we do. So in terms of the OxLEPs and the OSEPs around here, everything is fully funded.
Yeah.
So I haven't had to...
But there's no sponsorship or anything like that?
No, I would have to be proactive and kind of reaching out to local businesses and saying, like, this is what I do. Could you sponsor something? One thing that we are privileged, again, in Oxfordshire with is that schools and the local authority, they do fund alternative provisions. So, if a child has fallen through the cracks, that is the local authority's responsibility to provide that child with a full-time education. And that's where that funding element does come into play.
Yeah, I was thinking more from the business perspective that you are creating the next workforce, and perhaps businesses might think, do you know what, the kids coming through this system would work really well in our business because of whatever it is, the physical activity or whatever the particular thing is. Whether there is a natural tie up there that perhaps businesses are missing out on.
Definitely. And I haven't had those conversations. So if there are local businesses listening and watching this, I think it's important to reach out to me, reach out to other alternative provisions, because we are nurturing the future workforce. And a lot of our children, they will go on to be carpenters and plumbers and building houses. And a lot of them will go on to be entrepreneurs and actually be hiring a lot of people in the future as well.
Mm. You use mentors a lot. Tell us how that works, because again, that can be that sort of personal relationship with a mentor. All sorts of creative things can come from those conversations.
So I'm quite different in the sense that I will hire people based on lived experience, what they were like as a kid, and that expertise. So for a lot of the team, I actually haven't seen their CVs. Yes, I need to abide by all safeguarding procedures and our safer recruitment, but I always meet people and I know instantly they are Oxford Creators style. It's how they interact with our children. It's what experiences they've been through. So a lot of our current team, they either were that kid at school that were misunderstood and didn't fit into the system, or they've got that lived experience. So some of our mentors have got children that go to other alternative provisions or don't get on well at school. So we've got a really varied workforce at Oxford Creators. And I think it's so important to hire different types of people.
Because the range is huge, isn't it? It's sort of artistic, it's musical. And why does that work so well?
It's all about being creative, and that's why I called it Oxford Creators, because I believe in life you've got to create your own life. You've got to create how you want your life to be, and this is what we're teaching our children. You can be creative through sport, through music, through podcasting, through art. There's so much out there for children.
We're going to bring our conversation to a close shortly. I wanted to ask what's next for you. You're clearly very ambitious and very creative. So are you going to look to expand what you do?
Yes. So really exciting news, because this has only happened very recently, but I have just gone into partnership with some other dads. So 3 dads and 1 mum. We are now on a mission to bring alternative provision across the UK. So the 4 of us together is called Resolve Alternative Provision. And what we're trying to do is build local hubs within local communities, but do it on a national scale so we can impact children on that national level. And hopefully the bigger aim is then to influence government and policies and just help schools up and down the UK to cater for the changing needs of children. But we've got branches opening up in Swindon, Bristol. We've got a primary division opening up in Didcot. Hayes, we've got one. There's so many different branches that we've got planned for 2026.
That'll all come with its own particular sort of niche problems, I'm sure, in terms of the setup. But the local authorities are the key into this, aren't they? How are you dealing with the authorities in Swindon and Bristol?
It's working with them, because they have got to place these children somewhere. And what I really want to do with my new team of directors as well is raise that bar for alternative provision, because at the moment it's not regulated, alternative provision. So really any person can set up an alternative provision from scratch like I did, but there is no regulation there. Within Oxfordshire, we do have something called the Alternative Provision Supplier List. So I had to go through a very, very lengthy form, and we have audits and inspections by the council, but that doesn't happen everywhere.
So it wouldn't fall under Ofsted, for example?
No, so we don't fall, because we're not a school. So we can't have children for more than 3 days. If we do, then we're classed as a school, and then Ofsted would come in. There are lots of, and this is probably more of the stigma actually you kind of alluded to before, is that a lot of alternative provisions in Oxfordshire are called unregistered, but that doesn't mean the standard's lower, but that is where the stigma comes into play. So it's kind of what you just said. It's like, oh no, you're not Ofsted registered. We're not, but we work to the same framework. So I've had an ex-Ofsted officer come and inspect us before from a trust of schools within Oxfordshire. And, she said to me, you're actually doing a higher quality than a lot of some schools in the area. So that's nice in a way when we get inspected and audited, because actually it's showing the level of quality we're delivering as well.
Interesting. So the empire is spreading, if you like, or the word is spreading. If organisations and individuals take one thing away from our conversation today, what would it be, do you think, Veena?
Oh, this is kind of twofold. So it's, if you have got a dream, go for it. I believe we live one life, and anything you can think of in your mind, you can create that and you can make a reality out of that dream. And I meet so many people that want to change the education system, but then they lack that confidence or self-esteem. And I say confidence and self-esteem comes from actually doing. So you've got to put yourself out there to get that confidence and self-esteem to make your dreams a reality. So that's that first part. And the second part from this conversation is look at children in a different way. They are misunderstood, and maybe think to yourself, what has that kid been through for them to behave in a certain way?
Some might argue that some of these conditions we're talking about that are over-diagnosed. What would you say to that?
That's a very thought-provoking question you've asked there. And there is a lot of people that think it's overdiagnosed. What I would say to that is there is more research now. There is more ways to get diagnosed. As when we were growing up, there was children who are autistic and have ADHD, but there wasn't a word for it. Again, they would get labelled the naughty kids. And I feel as well... But
we're just then labelling them something else now.
But then they're not naughty. There's an undiagnosed need there, and it's kind of what I said before in our conversation, is when a adult gets angry, if either one of us get angry, there's a reason behind it. My son makes me angry sometimes. There's a reason, because he's made me angry because he's done something. Or people get road rage. There's always a reason behind that anger. So it's putting how we treat adults. We give adults mental health days. Why can't a child have that? So I would bring that into that discussion as well. What I would say about the overdiagnosis is that, and I have heard this from parents and some schools, they fight to get something called an EHCP, which is an educational healthcare plan. And the reason why a lot of parents and schools will fight to get a child this is because it opens you up to more funding. So in some circumstances, I do believe this is probably more rare. They're fighting to get this document, and the child may not be autistic or have ADHD and SEN is big, so it might be dyspraxia, dyslexia. Lots of things come underneath that umbrella. It's a big conversation. We could do a whole other podcast on that.
Perhaps a conversation for another day, Veena. We started by talking about your son. What does he make of what you've achieved at Oxford Creators?
Sometimes I think he's not bothered, because I'm the uncool mum, aren't
Whatever,
I?
mum.
Yeah, it's like, cool. Yeah. But no, I think he does look at it, and he said to me before, like, oh, mum, I'm so proud of you for what you've done. And before he came to Oxford Creators, a lot of other people said he would never get GCSEs, but we put him through his GCSEs, and were getting his results. And yeah, there's been lots of benefits, and I'll never be cool to him, but I think he is proud of what I've done.
Veena, lovely to talk to you. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Huge thanks to Veena Virahsammy from Oxford Creators, and thank you for listening to OxTalks, now in its 4th series. There's now quite a back catalogue of previous editions of OxTalks available from where you normally get your podcasts. Let me point you towards an earlier episode featuring Amrit Dhaliwal, Chief Executive at Wallfinch, and his sister Cam Gill, Managing Director at Wallfinch Oxfordshire, discussing the key challenges currently facing the care sector whilst finding the right talent to support future growth. There's my conversation with Melanie Tattersall from Darsica Logistics with some practical steps to growing a sustainable business. And check out Gray Laws, Managing Director of Beyond Touch, and Guy Gadney, CEO of Charisma.ai, with some top tips for using AI in your business. Every episode is well worth a listen. Please spread the word, tell your friends or colleagues about us, and if you feel so inclined, leave us a review. You can share your thoughts and suggestions on our social channels, and you can email your ideas for inclusion in future editions too. The address is on the podcast description. Business support in Oxfordshire is just a click or a call away. Enterprise Oxfordshire is at your service. The business support tool can signpost you to expert help in a matter of minutes. Why not take a look? Find it on our website, enterpriseoxfordshire.com. But for now, from the whole Enterprise Oxfordshire team and from me, Howard Bentham, it's goodbye.